Hello and welcome to the webinar. My name is Jacob Griscom. I'm the president of Everyday Ayurveda. And this webinar is called Grow Your Ayurvedic Business, How to Serve an Abundance of Committed Clients and Earn a Sustainable Income with your Ayurveda or yoga therapy practice. I want to start with a picture of where we are currently in the Ayurvedic profession and say that we're really not making it yet as a sustainable profession. Because in the US, we graduate around 400 students each year from our Ayurvedic institutions. And from those 400 students, only approximately 10% go on to do something with their practice, which means 90% do nothing with their practice. Now, of those 40, of those 10%, who do go on to do something, it's usually part-time work, while some other work or source of income actually pays the bills. And even of those who do go into full practice full-time, the expected annual income is only around $25,000 to $30,000 per year. So what I want to discuss with you are the outer and inner game, the factors that you need to take on the outside, as well as the mindsets that you need to have to go against these odds and to create really a new reality, a new possibility for your Ayurvedic practice. So when I say outer game, I'm referring again to the actions that we need to take. And when I say inner game, I mean the mindsets that we need to have. So let's go ahead and start with your inner game. These are some of the things that I've seen are, if not important, essential really, to being able to succeed in your practice and in business. And the most important one is what I would call a priority to serve. If you're an individual who really feels that you need to do this work, you must do this work, that this is something that you really have to go for, and you're not going to let things get in your way to being successful, that attitude is essential. Because if you have really anything other than that attitude, as soon as you begin to encounter some obstacles, as soon as you realize that you need to learn some new things, you're not going to have really the fuel or the drive to go against that. Why would you? Those are not necessarily comfortable things to do, to learn new things, to go against personal style. So really this is the most important piece, and this is where I want to start with you. You need to have a priority to serve in this particular way. And part of that means having what it takes to run your own business and live in a reality that is certainly much less given than the paycheck reality of a job. Now, secondly, if you have that priority, then you'll be secondly benefited by having a real scientist attitude. So treating your business and your practice like an experiment, where you're going to take some actions, you're going to collect data, and you're going to look at that data to determine what you need to do differently and what's working, what's not working. So this is really a way to build consciousness in your business, is to approach it as a scientist. And in a way, this could get you in touch with more of the heart of Ayurveda, which is a science of living. So you want to approach your business in the same way. It's a science. And you need to sell yourself first. Now, what I mean by this is not that you need to think that you are so extraordinary, that you are so special, that you have some unique talent or ability. None of that is really required. Even feeling confident is not really required. What I'm saying about selling yourself first is on the value of a committed Ayurveda or yoga therapy health program. What possibilities a person has when they choose to make that a real priority, when they commit to something like that. So a long-term, sustained Ayurveda or yoga therapy practice, a program that makes that a priority for them. If you don't have a sense for yourself of the value that can have for a person's life, the power for transformation, and really maybe more than anything, is to think the power of a committed program like this, something where somebody is coming on a regular basis to make their health a priority and bring consciousness to that area of their life. If you are not yet yourself convinced of the value and impact that can have on somebody, then again you're gonna be in a difficult situation, because when the time comes to be able to offer a potential client that service, to be a servant to them in that way, you're going to feel out of integrity with your own beliefs and experience. So if you are not sold on this yourself first, one of the most valuable things you can do is to become a part of a committed program, working with somebody where you have made an investment of your time, money, and energy to commit and prioritize something like that in your life. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be in health, although that would be the most immediately relevant. It can also be in the fields of anything that you really want to learn well and to get some transformation in your life. It may be in relationships, it may be in communication, it may be in business, it may be in wealth, and again, it may be in your health. So sell yourself first. Make sure that you can have that ingredient in your inner game, or else moving forward and doing well in your business is going to be, if not impossible, very difficult, and you'll feel inner strain as you try to move forward. So part of your inner game as well is feeling great about accepting money. Because this is business, that's the currency that we work in, is money. And if when the time comes for somebody to invest in working with you, especially in amounts or for a period of time that's greater than you're used to, if you have some unexplored concepts about accepting money, or you have some ideas in place that would make it unattractive to accept money, those would need to be addressed. I'm going to give you something right now that is very helpful for me, that allowed me to make a transformation in that area, because I definitely noticed some of that in myself. And it's even something that, I come up against and I'm familiar with. And so having this perspective, being able to really kind of step out of the knee-jerk reaction into seeing what's actually going on here, can be very helpful for feeling great about accepting money. And it's this, that money is the main way that we assign value to things in our lives right now. Now, not just value, but really more importantly, priority. The things that we pay money for, we're saying are a priority for us, because money is the main indicator of that, where we're placing our priority, where we're putting our purchase. So you pay for your housing, and you pay for food, and you pay for clothing, and you pay for entertainment and various forms of relief. But how do you feel about investments in your health, investments in getting something kind of intangible, something that is a service? Well, again, this is connected to selling yourself first. If you haven't had your own experience of that, it can feel awkward or even dishonest. So if you can do this, if you can sell yourself first, then this will help you with having a great feeling about accepting money, because you'll realize that investment that a client makes in a committed healthcare program is actually part of the treatment. It is a way that they are saying, this is going to be a priority in my life, and they give it their attention in a way that they would not if they did not make a financial investment. So when a practitioner gives away their services for free to a client, they may have the imagination that this is connected to being a good person. But I'm going to tell you that my observation and experience is that's not the case. There's often some timidity involved. You want to help somebody, but you're not looking and seeing if giving the service for free is necessarily helping them, especially when you realize what goes into truly making a change in behavior and in practice, which is what we do in the fields of Ayurveda and yoga therapy. So if we give away our services for free, our clients don't get that added leverage and benefit for themselves as they do when they invest money in something. Now finally, all of this has to do with a willingness to get out of your comfort zone, a willingness to grow, a willingness to go against some personal style, a willingness to see some things about yourself, and again, be willing to try new things. All of that is uncomfortable because it's unknown. And if you can't develop some appetite for that, then certainly getting into your own business and succeeding and doing this well is going to be a tremendous challenge for you. So all that to say, you can't disregard your inner game. If in education, if I were to pretend that there are simply outer steps that you take, then it wouldn't be giving you the full picture, because there are outer steps for you to take, but there's a certain person that's able to take those outer steps, and these are the attitudes and elements of the inner game that I've seen makes that possible. Alright, so enough on that. Let's get into your outer game. What are the actual steps that you need to take? Now this is important because if you can see a clear picture, if you can know that there is in fact a map, there is in fact a system and a template, a way to do this, then it can begin to encourage the development of those attitudes in yourself, realizing that you're not a trailblazer, you're not the first one to do this, you're following in the path and footsteps of others who have done this before you, others who are doing this right now. So step 1 we call map your market. Step 2 we call the committed client formula. Step 3 the sales sadhana system. Step 4 multiply your marketing. And step 5 advanced profit growth. And these 5 steps make up the 5-step grow your Ayurvedic business system. So through the next portion of this webinar, I'm going to get into each of these and the essence of what they represent and the shift in both mindset and strategy that you'll need to take from what most people do. So step 1 is to map your market. Here's the problem. Of course, not too many people know what Ayurveda is. In general, people don't know what Ayurveda is. Even if they've heard the word at some point, they really wouldn't be able to tell you what Ayurveda is. So how do you address that problem? Because if that's the problem and you're trying to solve that directly, it means that your role and your responsibility is to educate your community about Ayurveda, try to get them interested so that they come to you as a client. And I can tell you from experience that if you take that tact, if you take that approach, then you are going to be swimming upstream. This is an uphill battle. And the solution instead is something less direct. It is to address the needs of a niche market instead. And really, the most important part of this is address the needs. Because even if you decide that you'd like to have a general practice, you'd like to serve all sorts of different people in all sorts of different markets and health challenges, you still need to focus on the needs. Now, I say a niche market because if you decide to specialize in a particular market, all of your marketing, all of your lead generation, becoming known as an expert, getting lots of referrals, building community, all of the other steps will become a lot easier for you. But again, even if you're going for a general practice, you want to serve a lot of different needs in a lot of different ways, the needs are why people are coming to you. People are not coming to you for Ayurveda. Even if they say that that's their interest, it's not their end interest. We come to an Ayurvedic practitioner because we want it to help us address certain challenges in our life, things that are giving us trouble, and results that we feel would be beneficial that we'd like to have instead. So you want to have that mindset. Your job is not to educate your community about Ayurveda, to spread Ayurveda in any way. It is to listen. So instead of to project, it's to listen and understand the needs of your prospective clients and to speak directly then to those needs. So people will have specific health challenges. those health challenges are having real impact in their life. And the first part of being a scientist in the system is to get really good at understanding those needs and communicating to those needs, so that when people hear you, they will hear you speaking to something that is of interest to them and that they want and they're motivated to move towards. So in step 1, you know what, let's do this. We'll come to the details of each of these steps and how they're addressed in the program towards the end of this. So for now, let's go ahead and look at these problems and let's look at the approaches that we take. And then we'll talk in some more detail, even another layer beyond this, about what you can do next. Okay, so on to step 2, the committed client formula. So once you understand the needs that you're addressing, or whether or not you've picked a niche market, but let's say you've picked a niche market, and you understand the needs of this market, what they're looking for, what they're looking to overcome, then you are ready to address the second problem, which is that in Ayurvedic practice, once you get a new client, they often leave after a few visits. Now that's a problem because you can't easily sustain a practice where you're constantly needing to bringing in new clients. You can do this. In fact, a lot of chiropractors base their model on that. They have returning clients and a lot of new clients. There's a lot of turnover, a lot of new clients. It is possible. It takes a lot of demand, and I would argue that it's not really suitable for the fields of Ayurveda and yoga therapy. It's suitable for fields where you're offering a treatment, you're doing something to the client. So you're adjusting their back, you're giving them a massage, you're giving them some sort of therapy session. If you're doing it to the client, then that model may be suitable. But in the fields of Ayurveda and yoga therapy, we're looking to support clients to do something to themselves. We're looking to support them to change actual behavior. And so if they leave after a few visits, not only is that not sustainable for our practice, but they're not going to get the results that they're after. So the solution is to offer a long-term program with regular visits, the sort of structure that somebody can get into and that they can get sustainable results with, because they can make it a commitment, a priority, a regular focus. The ingredients that are really necessary and required are necessary and required for getting results with their health. So step 3 we call the sales sadhana system. And here's the problem, is even if you have an offering like that for your clients, do you know how to get your clients to happily pay you that money, to make that investment? What is the conversation that you need to have? What's the transformation that's going to happen that's going to get somebody from doing what they're currently doing in their life to deciding that this is a priority? Well, the solution is use an automatic system for your enrollment. Plan that process out ahead of time. And that's what the sales sadhana system is. It's a process that I developed out of studying spin selling, which is a scientific study of what makes major account salespeople successful, and turning that really into a simple conversation and questioning process that you can use in a step-by-step manner with every client to determine, one, if there is the motivation to make this priority, and then secondly, to help that person connect with that motivation so that they can make a decision like this in their lives. So this is step 3. The sales sadhana system does this. It addresses the problem of getting clients to happily pay you money by using an automatic system that takes people through consciously to enrollment. Step 4 we call multiply your marketing. And this addresses the problem of wasting money on marketing that just doesn't work. If you're a practitioner or if you've done some advertising in the past, it's likely that you are dissatisfied with the results that you've gotten. So a lot of people's conclusion is, advertising just doesn't work, or I'm going to rely just on word of mouth advertising. And instead, I'd like to introduce some free and low-cost marketing materials that will constantly bring in new clients, right? So instead of wasting money on marketing that doesn't work, we can instead use free and low-cost marketing materials that constantly bring in new clients. Now, this becomes possible once you understand that you're speaking to needs and that you have a really clear offer and enrollment process that you can make for people. If you have steps 1, 2, 3 in place, then the strategies that I'll recommend to you in marketing will begin to make perfect sense. You'll understand how these pieces fit together because you know who you're talking to, and you know the offer that you have to provide them that's connected to their needs. Now, step 5 we call advanced profit growth, and this addresses the problem of a busy one-on-one practice that ends up becoming full-time and limited income. Because one thing you're also probably interested in your business is being able to have a certain amount of time flexibility. And there's an interesting thing that happens here is that if you're less busy in your practice isn't as full as you'd want it, you are getting typically a certain amount of free time, or you're spending that time somewhere other than in your practice, even if it's in other work. So if you fill in your practice, then you have a situation where you have a full-time and a limit on your income. Both things that may not be attractive to you, and if that's the case, if you'd like to be able to create more time flexibility, and if you'd like to leverage your income more, then step 5 shows you how to do that. It shows you how to leverage your time, income, and impact with group programs, information products, and partnerships. So instead of working with just one person, what are the models that you can use for effectively working with groups? What are the models you can use for developing information products that have value and that sell for you? And what are the possibilities in terms of partnerships that you can develop? Things that can exponentially grow your business while helping others. And to expand a bit on step 5, here's a model for an Ayurveda or yoga therapy practice that I think is very important to share with you. Because even though we don't get into Ayurveda or yoga therapy, because typically for most of us, because we had a primary intention that it was going to be a really great business model, we got into it instead typically because our lives have been touched or transformed in some way by it. And we developed a passion for it, and we wanted to learn so that we could share that passion and help others. But now that you've found yourself here, now that you've completed your training and you do have something to pass along, it's great to know that you've also ended up in a really tremendous business model, something that can provide you with a lot of time flexibility, a lot of leveraged income. So to expand on step 5, on advanced profit strategies, let's go over this model. You have at the top tier of your business your one-on-one clients, where you're going to have the most depth, you're going to spend the most direct time working with them. And therefore, it's going to need to be more of an investment for each individual client. That makes sense, that's natural. The second tier of your business, though, is to start working with groups, working with more than one person at a time. The additional benefit that that provides is that you can start to build community. And community around your business is a very good thing. That means that people know each other, they're connected to each other, they have now more accountability and more incentive to stay connected to your business through the community that they're a part of. This now allows you to get also into more dollars per hour because you're not working with just one client at a time. You can leverage this to work. There are ways that you could work with an unlimited number of clients in a group, but you certainly, from even going from 2 to 3 people instead of 1, have a lot more leverage and the potential to make a lot more money per hour. And the final tier of your business are your products. These give you leverage. Products give you leverage, and they give you passive income or passive lead generation. But you need to be able to see your business in terms of these levels and how they fit together. Now, the more popular your products become, the more leverage you have, the bigger an audience you're able to reach, the more attractive your group programs become, and you have the more potential people you have to be involved in those. And certainly the more valuable any one-on-one time would be for you, and the more that you can leverage your one-on-one client work as well. So if you can see these three levels to your business, you see that you've also stumbled across a great business model, and there's no reason, there are no inherent really limitations on what you can do in this sort of business that needs to make it so that this is a field where you're destined to struggle. So to give you a sense of a coaching salary, what this would fit into as an Ayurvedic practitioner, as a yoga therapist, in this really a coaching capacity, coaching and consulting capacity, is that you could have one-on-one clients. You could be working with them for 6-month terms, and you could be charging them, say, $300 to $1,500 a month to be working with you. So right there would be $1,800 to $9,000 working with some one-on-one clients for 6 months at a time. Then you could have some group programs. These could be some 3-month term programs. You could charge $150 to $2,000, for example, to work in these, which would end up being about $50 to $650 per month. And you could work with groups for 3 months at a time, or you could work with them on an ongoing membership basis. And finally, you could have some information product packages that you sell that address key problems that are really good information products and really help people. You can sell these from $50 to $1,000 and up, depending on the depth and complexity of the product. So an example, if you want to put these pieces together, is you might have 10 one-on-one clients that you're working with for an hour each week. So that's 10 hours of your week, and you're working with them in the mid-range of, say, $500 per month. So right away, you've got a $5,000 a month income just from your private practice working with one-on-one clients, and 10 of them at that matter. Then you could be working with some group clients. You could have 20 group clients, right? It's a good healthy group, or a few different small groups, and work with them at $150 per month. That's another $3,000. There's so many different formats you can do the group clients in, and so 20 doesn't need to necessarily all be people that you fit in a room. Again, you can fit them into smaller groups, or you can do some groups virtually, teleconferences and otherwise, and you certainly don't have the same size limits in that regard. And then you could be selling 30 product packages per month at $50, and there's $1,500. So if you put all these together, this would be a monthly income of $9,500 per month, or $114,000 per year. And you look at, well, what's actually gone into this? You've got 10 one-on-one clients. You've got, let's say you're doing 2 groups of 10, and you spend a couple hours with each of them. So you've got 10 hours for your one-on-one clients. You've got 2 groups that you spend 2 more hours with. That's 14 there. So you're working a 14-hour work week in direct work, plus your administration and the other elements that connected to your business. And you realize there's a tremendous amount of time flexibility in this sort of model, and there's a lot of leveraged income potential, where you're able to work deeply with a certain number of people, you're able to build community around a larger number of people, and you're able to have impact with really an unlimited number of people that you can serve with information products. Now, there are a couple positions that you might find yourself in. You may be in a position where you've got some cushion, you've got a buffer, you have some other source of income, you have some savings, so you're able to either kind of scoot by with your practice and not be too concerned about the income that it makes, or you're able to get into starting something new and you've got a period of time. in which you can approach that. But a lot of practitioners, new practitioners or existing practitioners that I speak to, are not in that position. They are either working other full-time jobs or other part-time jobs so that they can actually pay their bills. And in that case, then you need to know that there is a possible way to transition from a part-time or a full-time or certainly a part-time work into building your practice. And Martha Gassegnan was a graduate that we had who I think illustrates that well. She was a nurse and working graveyard shifts and really totally exhausted, but a nursing salary is not a bad salary. It's certainly a hard thing to leave if you don't have another option. So we approached her practice in such a way that she carved out about 10 hours per week to start building her practice, was able to fill that in and supplement her income from her work while cutting back her working hours and then increasing her practice hours as they grew by demand. So this is really the model that I recommend if you're thinking, I'd love to get my Ayurvedic practice going, but how am I ever going to leave my work? I'm already struggling as it is, or I'm just keeping up. If that's the case, then that's what I would recommend to you. You do need to carve out at least 10 hours per week to start building something new. So if you can do that, if you can go from a full-time or a part-time job, then that transition into a business, even without savings and even without a secondary source of income or somebody taking care of you, is possible for you. And Martha and others have been great examples of that. I also want to let you know that if you follow the techniques that I teach in the sales sadhana, and you have this approach to enrolling clients in committed long-term programs, then it does not take long to fill in your practice. And Karen was great because she got into the program and was concerned, right? She was in a similar position as somebody that I described that would not be able to really dedicate extra hours in their life to building their practice if that wasn't going to pay them right away. And I told her, well, implement the sales sadhana strategy right away then, and go ahead and get into the details later, but go ahead and fill your client schedule up. And she did that. She did what I call the free session offer and started doing the sales sadhana with clients and started enrolling them right away at higher prices than she'd ever done before, getting, of course, much better results with them now that they're committed to an actual program. And she filled in her practice right away and said, now I have too many clients. Now I don't have the time that I need to do other things that I want to do. So that, of course, is the best problem to have in business, is that you have too many clients, and you can start leveraging your model from there. So let's go ahead and talk then about the Grow Your Ayurvedic Business program, which is an online course and also a group and a very limited amount of private coaching that I offer. Here's a screenshot of the program page. You'll see that in this program, you get step-by-step video trainings. This is a password-protected site, so you have an account with a username and a login. And you log in, you get access to all of the program modules and videos, along with MP3 downloads of each course, so if you want to listen to them in the car or on your iPod, you can do that. There are textbooks for each of the modules, so you have text for each of the modules that go into the same details, really the video does, along with the worksheets and exercises for your implementation homework to do what you're learning in the program. And finally, a lot of great bonus programs and a members-only Facebook group. So step-by-step video trainings that can also be downloaded as MP3s, text, homework, bonus programs, and a members-only Facebook group is essentially everything that's involved in the Grow Your Ayurvedic Business program. And in this program, we're going to teach you how to consciously design your ideal schedule and reduce or eliminate distraction and interruption. If you don't start there, then you're really not going to find any time or space or focus to be able to take the steps that you need to in the program and succeed. So the very first part of this program gets into how to design your ideal schedule. How to focus your practice on your ideal niche and become known as an expert in your market. How to build valuable content and programs and effectively coach your clients in committed programs for long-term sustainable results with their health. How to use an automated business system for generating targeted leads and consistently enrolling committed clients. How to create free and paid marketing and advertising campaigns that generate a high return on modest investments of your time and energy. How to leverage your business activity with group programs, products, and partnerships for increased impact, income, and time freedom, and much more. So in each of these program modules, I started talking about welcome and getting started. And as I mentioned earlier in the webinar, tell you the details really about each of these 5 steps that I've included. So in welcome and getting started, there we go. The first module is called Better Health, Financial Security, Great Relationships, and Spiritual Freedom. And this, of course, has to do with the 4 aims of life that are discussed in Ayurveda and yoga, applied to your schedule and your priorities. So I think you'll find that exercise very interesting, very transformative if you actually follow it, and a really helpful, if not essential, foundation for being able to create the time and space and priority in your schedule that you need to have a business thrive and grow. We'll talk about guaranteeing your results, how to implement rituals and practices that make sure that you get results over and over again. First, that you take action, and secondly, that those actions are designed consciously so that you continuously move in the direction that you want to move. We're going to talk about more of what you love and less of what you don't. I'm going to give you an exercise called the A, B, and C work list, where you're going to clearly identify the work that is your high leverage work, high value work, the work that you love and that is important for you to do, the work that is important to do but is not really what you should be spending as much of your time on, and you could ultimately train somebody else in, your B work. And finally, what I'll call your C work. This is the work that is the most easily outsourced, that somebody else could do very easily. Its priority level is also typically a lot lower. And so, but it is the sort of work that can end up eating up a person's schedule and sending them into endless procrastination if they haven't seen that coming, if they haven't planned for it. So that's a great module as well. More of what you love and less of what you don't. And then finally, introduce you to the members-only Facebook group and tell you how to join up with the community there. Then in step 1, map your market, we're going to cover Ayurveda awareness and niche markets. We're going to get into the details of why it's not important that people know about Ayurveda or yoga therapy, and why you can still help them. And we're going to talk about a lot of different niche markets and possibilities for your practice, different places and areas that you can focus on, or at the very least, how to be a general practitioner who still focuses first on client leads and not on their modality. We're going to teach you how to research a niche, how to use surveys and interviews, and how to find the exact needs that people are motivated to solve, which means that they would happily invest in a committed program with you to get those results in their lives and address those problems. We're going to show you how to organize those needs within your niche's needs and see really clear patterns and trends, and discover other little, let's call them like sub-needs that are still really important to people and that they'd love to address, that you can then use in your marketing and your communication, so that when you say these things, your market will be very interested immediately and want to take next steps towards working with you. And that's an important part of communicating what you do. How do you talk about what you do? How do you answer that question, what do you do? If you currently answer it right now with "I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner" or "I'm a yoga therapist," and then you begin to describe some of the approach or philosophy that you have, then you are in trouble, because your answer to that question right now is doing nothing, but is not doing what you want it to do to generate new clients and leads for you. So I'm going to teach you a way to communicate what you do that does that really consistently, that tells people exactly who your client is and has them assess if they are your client or if they know who is your client and can give you a referral. I'm going to talk a little bit about succeeding in poor economies. In other words, if your assessment of your local community is that it's not a place where people have a lot of disposable income, then we'll want to do a couple things. One, we'll want to address that mindset and see if there's some unexamined concepts there and some other ways that you can approach that. But secondly, I do want to teach you a little bit about working virtually. What are your possibilities for working with people at a distance that can address any lack of clients in your local community. And that can happen also if you live in a really rural area and you don't have simply a very large market around you, or it's hard for people to get to you. That can be a great reason to know how to work with people virtually as well. And finally, I'm going to talk about understanding and communicating your qualifications. Now, this does not have to do with where you went to school, how many trainings you've done, etc. This is a way of communicating the qualifications that are actually important to your clients. In other words, why you can help them. Now, this doesn't have to do with where you went to school. This has to do with how well you know their life and their experience. In step 2, the committed client formula, we're going to get into what I call your behavioral theory of change. This is a format that you can use to organize a really brilliant and expert level of understanding of your niche market from an Ayurvedic or yoga therapy perspective, including all sorts of modern medical knowledge about your market. So your behavioral theory of change, in other words, what are the behaviors that are causing the issues for your clients currently? How and why is that? And what are the new behaviors that are going to get them where they need to get? And how and why do they work? I'll teach you how to think through that process and how to start designing content based on that process. So designing content using a framework of not only your behavioral theory of change, but what I call, from David Cole, the Harvard researcher, the 4 learning styles. These are 4 different elements of any communication that we need to include to make it complete. We need to address people's motivation, which is called the why. We need to tell them about the theory and the philosophy, which is the what. We need to give them step-by-step instructions, which is the how. And we need to be able to give them that initial push that gets them to take action. So we'll get into the details of how to do that and consistently over and over again have great follow-up sessions with your clients, great initial sessions, and design really valuable content which you can use as articles, newsletters, electronic books, ebooks, and other content. I'm also going to share with you the Integral Ayurveda coaching system, a way to think about what you're really doing with your clients. And I often say that the advice that you have to give them is about 10% of your value. What we learned in school, what we know how to tell people about changing their behavior, it's about 10% of your value. The other 90% of your value has to do with how good you are at helping people implement those changes in their life. And that's what Integral Ayurveda coaching is going to teach you to do. How to ask questions, how to get people motivated from the inside out. Step 3, the sales sadhana system that I discussed, is about client enrollment. So we're going to talk about the science of client motivation and enrollment. What gets a person to say yes to something like this, to making this a priority in their lives? What are they moving towards? What are they moving away from? What are the implications of the problems in their life? And what are the additional payoffs of getting these needs met? All put into the sales sadhana theory and practice. How do you have a conversation that can be consistent with each prospective client that you talk to, that can go deep, that can be valuable and significant and meaningful for them, and really assess if this is something that they're ready to give a priority to, so that you can enroll more and more and more committed clients. We're going to talk about lead generation, which is your website's main job, as well as your conversations with people. But your website is really having a conversation for you even when you're not there. So we're going to talk about lead generation, the importance of that, and why it's your website's job, and what sort of practices you should be using on your website to make sure that it's doing its job. Step 4 is multiply your marketing. And in multiply your marketing, we're going to talk about all sorts of strategies, ways to bring prospective clients into your system once you know who they are and what you're offering them, and your website is doing its job of generating leads, and you're doing your job of enrolling those leads as clients. Then you can really turn up the volume and you can start bringing in a lot of additional traffic to your business, and it will be well spent. Because people will be turning into clients. So we're going to talk about a lot of different strategies and how to use them. Client testimonials and referrals, creating advertisements that get a response. We're going to talk about your email signature template, a really easy way to increase lead generation in your business. We're going to talk about client testimonials and referrals again. And we're going to teach you how to do a free session offer, a way to get people into your calendar. We're going to talk about deals strategies. These are with companies like Living Social and Groupon or Amazon. We're going to talk about how to do those. Now, you may be familiar with these. You may have even tried them yourself. But we're going to talk about a way that you can do it that does not just flood you with a bunch of low-paying, one-time clients, but actually delivers you committed, ongoing clients. And if you don't do that right, you can end up with a lot of work for very little money without really helping people and being able to give them a format. So we're going to talk about how to do that in a way that's great for you and great for them. We're going to talk about your business card and brochure, what to include in those. Talk about your public relations and how to get free coverage in your local media. So you may have a local television show, local radio, local newspaper. We're going to give some overviews on how you need to be thinking about that and the steps that you need to take to get some free local coverage. We're going to talk about optimizing social media for leads. This is Facebook, as well as the other sort of extended outlets, I call them, Twitter and LinkedIn. Facebook really is the epicenter of social media, and we're going to talk about what you need to be doing within social media to be optimizing it for generating actual business. And then we're going to talk about starting and managing pay-per-click campaigns. This is a form of advertising that's very effective because you can find exactly the right people that you're looking for and get a really high percentage of payback on small investments. So in terms of an advertising model, if you're looking to get into any sort of internet advertising, this is the place I recommend. It's the safest area. You can manage your budget the most, and you can get high and quick returns. And finally, if you're into video, making video, which is a great thing to be into nowadays, we'll talk a little bit about some tips about video and how to approach a YouTube channel strategy if you're into using video regularly to promote your business and to deliver content to your markets. And finally, step 5, advanced profit growth. In this module, we'll talk about finding prospective partners and building relationships, how to approach them, and what sort of relationships you can build that can be lucrative for each other and can support your mutual clients. So we'll give you a few models that work really well for approaching partners, what to offer, what to discuss, what to negotiate. We'll talk about some group program formats, both what I call term programs for a certain amount of time, the benefits of that, as well as membership programs, which can be ongoing, and the benefits of those. We'll discuss mission and vision statements as well, the difference between these and why they're important and how you can use these, especially in public relations and your communications with media. So this is goodbye time and also next steps time. I hope that you've gotten a lot of value from this webinar, and at the very least that you have some elements of a new vision for your Ayurveda or your yoga therapy business. Quite likely all or at least some of this was new to you, and hopefully can give you a perspective on where you can go with your business or your practice. And as I've been told, and as I will pass along to you, really the thing to do with this new perspective is you don't have to take it all on. It doesn't have to be something that you get behind entirely for yourself, but to see these as options and opportunities, and to take what you like, take what you can, and really disregard the rest. So there are all of these things can go into taking your business as far as you'd like to, and there are no demands on you. There's nothing that you have to do. There are simply directions that you can take and experiments that you can try. And if you are the experimental type, if you are a scientist, and if you are interested in applying these strategies and approaches to your business and seeing what it's like to follow some really clear, conscious steps to getting results, and again, challenging your own inner mindset and your willingness to grow and get out of your comfort zone, then I would say that this would be a good time to click the link below and review the program details and even purchase the course. So again, you can click that link below. At the end of this slide, we'll be wrapping up the webinar. You can review the program details, and you can go ahead and purchase the course and get started. And once you get started, I am available for group and private coaching programs as well, to a limited degree. Very limited on private, far more open, of course, in group coaching once you've purchased the program. And the reason that is that I want you to have something that you're actually working on, so that I can be coaching you effectively. The way that we approach the coaching program is that each week we get together. This is for either group or private, and I'm going to have you clarify to me what it is that you do, make sure that you're communicating that well, what you are working on, and what you want coaching on for this week. It's going to be based on your most immediate goals, and you're going to leave each coaching session with feeling clear and inspired, and knowing what exactly is the action step you need to take that week that is at the top of the list. It is the highest leverage action for you to be taking, and is the most important thing for you to get done. Before you get on Facebook, before you do email, before you do anything else, that's the thing that's going to move your business forward. So probably the most important thing that I can offer you in that regard is what you'll be able to offer your clients as well, which is accountability and a structure that is going to guarantee that you make this a real priority in your life so that you get results. So again, I hope this has offered you some new visions for your practice and where you can take your business. And if you're ready to go ahead and get started and do something new, go ahead and click that link below. You can check out the program details, and you can get started with us. And once you get started, as you get into the program, if you decide that you need some additional accountability and support, then you should look into our group and private coaching options. All right, well, thanks again, and I wish you the very best with your practice. Hopefully, I will get to know you and connect with you soon. Bye-bye.